Who will cry when you die? That's an interesting question, and this book by Robin Sharma tries to answer that question for you guys. Hello, guys, my name is Deep, and in this video, I'll be discussing the core ideas and my overall thoughts about this book, Who Will Cry When You Die. Now, unlike what the title suggests, it's not a deep and philosophical book like a lot of books out there. In fact, the book is quite simple and interesting. Unlike your normal typical books, the book does not have chapters. Instead, this has short, quick life lessons in place of chapters. So, in total, this book has 101 life lessons, and each life lesson is around 2 to 3 pages long. So, it's a very quick read, and for a lot of you newbie readers out there, this is the best book to start. So, talking about the actual principles and guidelines inside the book itself, all of the guidelines are very useful for people getting into self-help and trying to change their mindset. But one caveat that I would like to say is this, that the lessons are ordinary. There's nothing radically different or life-changing in this book if you are someone who has been into self-help for a lot of time. Of course, if you are a newbie, all of these points might make a lot of sense to you and might encourage you to do great things in your life, and that's the exact purpose of any kind of self-help book. And from what I've read and researched online, this book is a follow-up to Robin's worldwide bestseller known as The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I've not read that book, and for those of you who've not read that book as well, that book is not directly connected to this book, so you can read this book despite having not read that book. And talking about the actual principles that were inside this book, a lot of those were quite ordinary but useful tips, like wake up early in the morning, make good friends, spend the day without your watch or a smartphone, and a lot of other those usual tips that I think you should read about and are very interesting. But one caveat that I would add on top of that is to take action as well. You could read all of these tips, which are very helpful tips, but all of these tips mean nothing unless you take action on those tips. So what I would like you guys to do is first read this book, get in all of those mindset changes in your mind, and then start implementing each one of these tips each week. For example, in one of the chapters, Robin says, spend a day without your watch. Now, of course, the book was published in 1999 when smartphones were not that common. But what he's trying to say in this chapter is try your best to avoid distraction. And in today's world, 2020, the best source of distraction is your smartphone. You're probably watching me on your smartphone, and of course, there are two sides to any coin. Similarly, smartphone has its benefits and its harm. But what Robin is trying to say is that at least once a week, try to spend an entire day without your smartphone. This is what you could do. Go outside with your friends, go for a small picnic, leave your phone at home, and instead carry a book with you. Now, of course, enjoy your time with your friends and family in the picnic, but once you get some free time within that entire day, pick up a book, build a habit of reading instead of going for your smartphone. That's a good idea in this book, which can only be useful to you if you implement them, guys. So reading this book is fine and it's good. It's a really good book, but the book in itself is not going to give you actionable steps. Those you need to figure out yourself, or subscribe to this channel for those practical tips, especially those related to studying. I'll be happy to research and help you guys on that topic, and I'm myself learning all of these things. This is a journey, and I'm just sharing my ideas and my thoughts with you guys. So that was a quick plug in between a review, but I hope you guys like it. And final thoughts about this book is that because the chapters are so short and quick, it will not feel like a burden for the newbie readers. I've often seen people trying to develop the habit to read books, but the problem is that the chapters are so long and dense with information that they give up after a few days. So for those kind of people who want to get into the habit of reading, who know the benefits of reading but have not developed the habit yet, start by reading a book like this. Quick, short and small. There are 101 chapters. Try to read 3 chapters each day. If you do that, within a month you'll finish this book, and finishing this book, that success gives you the motivation to start another book, and it will be a continuous feedback loop. So that was my main takeaway from this book. The ideas are quite simple and interesting, but nothing different. But they don't have to be different. The way they become different is after you apply these tips, the tips in this book, to your own life. So once again, even though I did not discuss each and every chapter of this book in detail, my final takeaway for you guys is to first read this book and try to apply each advice from this book in your practical life. And yeah, that's it. So yeah guys, please give this book a read. And if you like what you watched and want more tips and practical advices on how to study better, how to read more books, and overall productivity related topics, please consider subscribing to my channel. This is me, Deep, signing off. Bye bye.